July 5th marked 10 years since Daniel Morgan had married Emily. To anyone watching, they were the definition of a power couple. Daniel, a financial analyst climbing the corporate ladder. Emily, a well-known event planner with a social media following that envied her seemingly perfect life. They lived in a spacious suburban home, vacationed twice a year, and hosted parties that were the talk of their circle. But beneath it all, Daniel couldn't shake a nagging feeling. It had started as a whisper in the back of his mind 6 months earlier. Late-night texts Emily brushed off, sudden business trips, the distant look she gave him when she thought he wasn't watching, the gut feeling gnawed at him relentlessly. By their 10th anniversary, Daniel decided to surprise her. He arranged a private dinner at a lakefront cabin they'd once dreamed of buying, the one Emily used to say would be their forever place. He pulled every string to rent it for the weekend. But that wasn't the real surprise. 2 weeks before the big day, Daniel installed a discreet tracking app on Emily's phone, a move he wrestled with morally, but justified as necessary. He told himself it was for peace of mind, to prove his gut wrong. The morning of their anniversary, Emily kissed him goodbye, claiming she had a client meeting across town. Her phone pinged on Daniel's tracking app 15 minutes later. Not at the office, but in a residential neighborhood he didn't recognize. Daniel stared at the blinking dot. He drove there, slowly, carefully, his hands gripping the wheel hard enough to make his knuckles white. The address led him to a sleek modern townhouse. Emily's car was parked outside. Daniel's heart thundered. This was it, the crossroad between suspicion and proof. He parked down the street and waited. 10 minutes, 20. Then a man stepped out. Late 30s, athletic build, shirt untucked, hair disheveled in a way that screamed intimacy. He leaned against the doorframe, and then Emily appeared, laughing, wearing the same white dress Daniel had bought her for their anniversary dinner. She kissed the man, a slow, lingering kiss. Daniel sat frozen, the scene playing out in front of him like a movie, except this was his life, his marriage, his wife. But this wasn't the climax. The real shock hit when the man spoke, loud enough for Daniel to hear across the street. "You sure your husband bought the alibi?" Emily smirked. "He's an idiot, totally clueless." Daniel's vision blurred. A scream rose in his throat, but he swallowed it down. He had to be smart. He had to know everything. He snapped a few photos, video, evidence, and then drove away. That night, Daniel went ahead with the anniversary dinner. Candles, music, wine, the works. Emily arrived home on time, face glowing, holding a gift bag. "For you," she said sweetly, leaning in for a kiss. Daniel kissed her back. Soft, measured, dead inside. The dinner was perfect, on the surface. Laughter, stories, a toast to 10 years. And then, dessert. Daniel set his phone on the table, tapped it. A video played. Emily's smile froze. The footage of her with him. The kiss. The mocking words. Her face drained of color. "Daniel." "Save it," he said, voice low. "How long?" Emily's mouth opened and closed. "How long, Emily?" "A year." Daniel felt his world crack open. He nodded slowly. "Does he know you're a married woman? Or is he just as blind as I've been?" She bit her lip. "He knows." Daniel laughed. A hollow, humorless sound. "So I'm the punchline to your little game?" Tears welled in her eyes. "It wasn't like that." "It was exactly like that." He stood, pacing the kitchen floor. "You played me. Lied. For a year. On our anniversary, no less. And you stood there pretending everything was perfect." She reached out. "Please, Daniel. We can fix this." He pulled back. "No, you don't get to decide that anymore." And then, the final blow, Daniel opened the door to the guest room. From inside walked a man. Emily gasped. What is he doing here?" Daniel smirked. "Thought it was time I met the guy who thinks I'm an idiot." The man, Mark, stared, eyes wide, caught like a deer in headlights. Daniel crossed his arms. "Mark and I had a little chat. Seems he didn't realize I confront him first." Mark stammered. I didn't know you'd." "He called me." Emily spun to Daniel. You called him? Oh, I didn't just call him. Daniel looked at her with ice in his veins. I invited him here. For dessert. And that's when Daniel laid it all out. The photos, the videos, every text and message Emily had sent Mark. Her affair wasn't some tragic mistake. It was calculated. She'd been siphoning money from their joint account to fund trips with Mark, telling friends Daniel was controlling, painting herself as a victim. But Daniel had receipts. And tonight, he'd made sure a lawyer friend, who happened to be seated in the next room, would witness every confession. Emily crumbled, her facade breaking. Mark bolted, muttering excuses. And Daniel? He walked away. Calm, cold. The fallout was brutal. Emily's reputation imploded. Clients dropped her. Friends distanced themselves. Mark's wife, yes, wife, filed for divorce the next day after Daniel sent her everything. And Daniel? He filed for divorce, served Emily with full documentation within 48 hours, kept the house, froze the joint accounts. What started as a romantic anniversary surprise turned into a real-time expose of betrayal and a confrontation neither of them saw coming. But Daniel walked away with something more valuable than revenge, freedom, and a gut feeling he'd never ignore again. In the weeks that followed, Daniel's life shifted in ways he never imagined. Painful, yes, but strangely liberating. The news of Emily's double life spread fast in their tightly knit community. The perfect Instagram marriage was shattered, exposed to the carefully filtered illusion it had always been. Emily tried to reach out. Letters, voicemails, even showing up at his office. But Daniel had made peace with the truth. You can't rebuild trust on the ashes of betrayal. His lawyer ensured the divorce was swift and precise. With the evidence Daniel collected, the courts leaned heavily in his favor. He kept the house, full custody of their golden retriever, Baxter, and retained his full savings. The judge even awarded punitive damages for financial misconduct, thanks to Emily's secret fund for romantic getaways with Mark. Emily, on the other hand, was left with the consequences of her choices. Her event planning business, once thriving, lost its charm. No one wanted to hire a scandal-ridden planner whose personal life had become a cautionary tale. Her online followers dropped in droves. The same friends who used to envy her life now whispered behind her back. As for Mark, his wife, furious and humiliated, divorced him too. Word had it he moved states away, trying to start over. But in the age of screenshots and forwarded texts, his name would always be associated with the other man in the Morgan affair. Daniel took a sabbatical from work. He spent time traveling, reconnecting with college friends, and rebuilding the version of himself he had lost in the marriage. The version that laughed freely, trusted his instincts, and didn't ignore red flags. 6 months later, on what would have been their wedding anniversary, Daniel did something bold. He returned to the lakefront cabin, alone this time. He lit a fire, poured a glass of bourbon, and sat on the porch with Baxter by his side. The same cabin that was once meant to be there forever was now his sanctuary. No ghosts, no lies, just peace. He posted a photo that night, a sunset over the lake, a silhouette of him and Baxter, and a simple caption. 10 years taught me one thing. Trust your gut. It always knows what your heart refuses to see. The post went viral. Thousands of comments flooded in. Support, solidarity, and similar stories from strangers who had once ignored their own instincts. Daniel hadn't meant to inspire anyone, but by standing up for himself, by choosing truth over comfort, he became a quiet kind of hero. This wasn't just the end of marriage. It was the beginning of a man who finally chose himself. And this time, he wasn't looking back.